Hey YouTube, Gear Driven 101 here. How you guys doing today? So you want to work on German cars? Well, I got some must-have tools for you, so stay tuned. Hey guys, so here's a bunch of tools that I found very useful, especially in German cars. So without further ado, I'll get started. One thing that you're going to want is a very short, stubby 3/8 drive. Along with this, I would recommend getting a 3/8 drive into 1/4" drive as well. This is nice for tighter spots where you can't get quite into them with that. Now, as far as 1/4", you're going to find a lot of 1/4" and bit drivers and ratchets in my repertoire. This is an extra long 1/4" drive ratchet, and these are great for getting down into deep spots and gives you the leverage to break things loose. Here we have a, let's see, go with the ratchets. Here we have a very stubby, short ratchet made by Nepros. This thing is one of my favorites. Very nice mechanism, very nice finish. Has worked great for me, especially for very tight spots that you don't need a lot of torque, which you'll find fairly frequently. Along with that, you'll find this bit ratchet along with an adapter for 1/4" made by VIM. Let's see here, DD2 is the part. Then along with that on VIM is this newer product, HBR 1046. This is a great double-ended. This goes for 1/4" bit drivers, as well as having an adapter for 1/4" sockets and stuff like that. This is a 10mm or 11mm that holds a 3/8 drive adapter. Next, another one by VIM would be this. This is HBR8. Great. It's got 5/16 and a 1/4" as well for different size bit drivers. Then we have one that's a shorter handle compared to this. It's locking detent. Now, another thing with this that's great that I found it useful for is doing turbos, especially on the 2.0s for Volkswagen and Audi. You got that line underneath the turbo. You can get this underneath and you can ratchet it out. Now we have another thing that I've been searching for a long time is a ratchet flex head for 5/16. This one's made by Koken. Great quality, very nice ratchet. That is part number 223, I believe. You can check them out on their website. Now, let me see if I forgot anything else. The low profile ratchet from Snap-on comes with the set. This is not something I use a lot, but when I do need it, it's great to have. Coming over here, I highly recommend getting locking extensions. The Snap-on ones are great. Do not get the Blue Point. I've lost multiple sockets and bit sockets off of them. I honestly think they're junk. Snap-on's got the best locking extensions. This is a wobble end. This is the size, I think it's about a 6". I use this a lot for getting spark plugs out of Mercedes and BMW. It's just the right length to get into the spots. Along that topic, we have a 12.14mm. You're going to need this for BMW and Mercedes. It's got a wobble end to it, which is one of the key things. It will allow you to get into the spark plug hole at a little bit of an angle. You couple that with a locking wobble extension, it gives you even more flexibility. Alright, now onto sockets. So here I have a lot of 1/4 inch. So I have 1/4 inch Torx. I've used these quite a bit. I have the set from T30 down to a T10. There we go. Then we have behind that, E-Torx universals. These are great. These are made by VIM as well. It's a full set. I will mention at the time I bought these, the E10 for this set did not fit all that great, and I will say you risk stripping out the bolt if you use it. So I individually bought a Snap-on E10 which fits perfectly. Along with these, I recommend 1/4 inch shallow E sockets. These are great for oil filter housings on the BMW G series. I have it from an E10, I think, down to an E4. Then we have the 3/8 drive, super shallow hex. This set is great. It has the sizes that you're most likely going to use on the German cars in particular. Highly recommend getting this set. Along with that, I have a E12 and an E14 universal socket 3/8 drive. You're going to want these for doing the bell housing bolts to take the trans off on the BMWs. Makes it so much easier. For Audi and Volkswagen, you're going to want to get yourself a couple different combinations of triple squares. This set here is made by VIM. I am only showing a couple of these so you get an idea as to what they look for like. Then we have long ones. The larger sizes are also set for security triple squares. Then coming up to the tray, we have a 10mm universal made by Koken. This is great because it'll hold the bolt or nut that you're trying to get off when you're in a very tight spot that you don't want to use, the goop, if you want to call it that, or you can't get in there with a magnet, long reach magnet either. Next 3 sets to me are must-haves for German cars. This set is a triple square 1/4 inch super shallow bit socket set, if you want to call it that. Goes from a 12 all the way down to a 4. Very useful on Audis and Volkswagens. Then we have Torx, the same style. Basically, I guess you would call them half-cut sockets, whatever you want to call all these. This goes from a T50 all the way down to a T10. And then another great set would be the super shallow hex sockets. This goes from a 2.5, I believe, all the way up to a 10mm. Very, very useful sets. These 3 I would highly, highly recommend getting. Then we got universals for bits. This is for 5/16 and 1/4 inch. Then I have 1/4 inch hex sockets. These are useful to have, a 6, 5, and a 4. Then for O2 sensors, get yourself a nice O2 sensor socket, 22mm. This one's made by Snap-on. Coming over here, we got a 19mm, I believe this is 1/2 inch drive socket. This is something you will need for Audis, the axle nuts on them. Along with that, we've got an E24 for Mercedes, their axle bolts. You're going to need this as well to take the axles out. Then again, for Mercedes, you have the 17mm star-shaped socket. You're going to need this to take off those lug bolts. Excuse me. Coming over here, we've got this special pliers. These are for Mercedes. They're band clamps that they use on a couple parts. A lot of people end up destroying them because they don't have this tool. This will take it off and put it on. This one's made by Astro. Unfortunately, I don't have a part number, but a number of manufacturers make this type of plier. Then we have for your air hammer impacting socket drivers, I guess you would call them. These basically, you put the socket or bit socket on it, get a 19mm wrench, put on the air hammer, and while you're impacting it, you turn it and it breaks the bolt loose. This is really useful. In general, must have in my book. I also had the 3/8 drive. Then I use this to narrow long punch air hammer bit. I use this for the Audis, the upper control arm pinch bolts. Basically, it allows you to get all the way through the cavity for the pinch bolt. So that's a real lifesaver. Next, one of my favorite, actually no, my favorite 1/2" extensions would be this 1/2" to 3/8 universal extension. Allows you to get into very tight spots. Very useful. Then we got a long trim tool. You're definitely going to want one of these in general, but especially with the German cars. You want to get yourself some pipe wrenches. This one is the PWZ series from Snap-on. Along with that, you're going to want to get some nice, really nice trim tool set. This one's made by Mueller-Kepps 277015. Best, highest quality, best set I've ever bought. Next, a must-have, absolutely, for German cars. These are half-cut bits. Super, super short. Okay? As you can see here, this, from the tip to the tip, is probably at most 3/4 of an inch. This lets you get into incredibly tight spots. Love this set. It has saved me and made me so much money, it's not even funny. Part number is VHC77. Then we have here, one part of a tool is a bleeder adapter, pressure bleeder adapter for German European cars. This will work on Audi, Volkswagen, Mercedes, and BMW. They're all the same. Basically, you use this with a pressure bleeder. When you're bleeding out the braking system of these cars, it is pretty much necessary to use the pressure bleeder. Coming down here, this is the pressure bleeder unit that I have. It's a hand pump. As you can see, here's the dial. You want to go to maybe about 15, at most 20 psi. You put this onto the adapter. You crack this lever loose and it basically pressurizes the whole system. You can go around, crack the bleeders, and this will force out the old fluid while replacing it with new fluid. Then a must-have for German cars would be a vacuum bleeder. This one's made by Snap-on, but you can find them on Amazon all over the place. You're gonna need this for German cars. They got so many small little coolant lines and, you know, very complex. I mean, if you don't get all the air out of the system, you could damage the engine. You could have a lot of problems. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you take something out of this. Until the next video, I would like to wish you good luck, take care, and keep wrenching.